In 2026, the first $100,000 is the hardest money you will ever earn. Not because the number is big, because it is the only money in your entire life that requires 100% manual labor. Every single cent of it comes from you. Your hours, your effort, your sweat. There is no compounding riding shotgun yet. No market tailwind. No invisible engine adding to the pile while you sleep. Just you, alone, pushing. Today we are breaking down the exact number of months it takes to reach that first $100,000, based on two things, and two things only: your salary and your discipline. Welcome to the escape velocity paradox. Here is why it feels impossible at the start. When you are sitting at $0, you have zero mathematical help. Let me say that again, because it is the single most important sentence in this video. At zero, the math is not on your side. It is not against you either. It is simply absent. Every dollar you save is a dollar you personally carried up the hill. Nothing is working for you but you. Now, picture a heavy freight train, 1,000 tons of steel, sitting dead still on the tracks. To get that train to move its very first 10 inches, the engine has to burn an absolutely staggering amount of energy. The raw force required to break that first inch of stillness is enormous, far more than what it takes to keep the train rolling once it is already in motion. That first 10 inches is the most expensive distance the train will ever travel, and that is you at $0. You are burning your single most precious, non-renewable resource, your time, just to break the static friction of being broke. So let us look at exactly how long that takes, tier by tier. Start with the median earner. StatCan puts the projected 2026 median individual income at roughly $62,000. So we will use a clean $60,000 earner as our baseline Canadian. After the CRA takes its share, and after what we will politely call the Loblaws Squeeze, rent, a transit pass, and a grocery bill that will not stop climbing, a single person surviving in the GTA or the Lower Mainland needs roughly $45,000 a year just for baseline survival. Strip all of that out, and the $60,000 earner is left with an investable margin of about $500 a month. Now run the growth engine. $500 a month, compounding at 8% a year, inside a TFSA, reaches $100,000 in roughly 11 years. 11 years. That is the honest, unsugar-coated number for the median Canadian, and nobody on this platform wants to tell you that. Now climb to six figures. The $100,000 earner, this is where the six-figure squeeze reveals itself, because a six-figure salary does not feel like a six-figure life once the CRA and the cost of living are finished with it. But the margin does jump. After tax and after survival, this earner can realistically set aside around $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month at 8% reaches $100,000 in roughly 4 years. Look at what just happened. You cut the timeline from 11 years down to 4, simply by adding $40,000 of income. That is the brutal, beautiful leverage of the margin. And then the accelerator. The $150,000 earner, same city, same groceries, same rent. But now that fixed survival number is a much smaller slice of a much bigger pie. This earner can direct roughly $4,000 a month toward investments. $4,000 a month at 8% hits $100,000 in roughly 2.5 years. Notice the pattern across all three tiers. Your income does not simply add to the timeline, it bends it. But we left out the single most powerful lever in the entire Canadian system, the CRA shield. When you route your savings through an FHSA or an RRSP, every dollar you contribute is deducted from your taxable income, and the government hands you a tax refund. For a high earner, that refund can run into the thousands of dollars. And if you take that refund and immediately reinvest it, it acts like a capital injection fired straight into your portfolio. The FHSA gives you $8,000 of contribution room a year. The TFSA gives you $7,000 of tax-free room. Stack an FHSA deduction on top of an RRSP contribution, and that refund melts the timeline. Money that would have vanished into the CRA gets rerouted back into your own account. You are no longer just saving faster, you are being paid to save. For the median earner, that refund alone can shave a full year off the clock. Here is the mindset shift that changes everything. The first $50,000 feels like cycling directly into a headwind. Every pedal stroke is pure resistance. You push, The wind pushes back, and progress feels impossibly slow. That is the grind. That is the manual labor. But somewhere around the $100,000 mark, something changes. You enter the slipstream, compounding 8% a year. Now working on a six-figure balance, finally starts pushing you from behind instead of standing in your way. And at that point, the market's daily moves start to matter more than your monthly paycheck. A single strong year in the market can add more to your net worth than an entire year of your own contributions ever could. That is the crossover. That is the exact moment the wind stops fighting you and starts carrying you, and you will feel it on any random morning, the start of the work week. You will check your balance before the alarm has even stopped ringing, and you will realize the number moved overnight, not because you did anything, but because your money did. That is the precise moment you stop being a survivor and quietly become a builder. Now, one hard truth about that median earner and the grocery bill, because it deserves its own spotlight. The 2026 grocery reality, the Loblaws Squeeze, is not a rounding error. For the $60,000 earner, rising food costs eat directly into that razor-thin $500 margin, and there is nowhere else for it to come from. Realistically, the grocery reality of 2026 adds an extra 12 months to the timeline for the median Canadian. An entire year, bolted onto the clock, purely because of what it now costs to feed one person in this country. So how do you fight friction you cannot fully control? The manual override. 2 rules, and only 2. Rule 1 is automation. The day your paycheck lands, a fixed amount moves into your TFSA or your FHSA automatically, before you can see it, touch it, or talk yourself out of it. You remove your own willpower from the equation entirely, because willpower is the least reliable resource you own. Rule 2 is margin first. Most people spend and then invest whatever happens to be left over, and there is never anything left over. So flip the order. Invest first, then live on what remains. Pay your future self before you pay Loblaws. The margin is the entire game. You protect it before anything else is allowed to touch your account. So here is the bottom line. $100,000 is not the finish line. It is the price of admission, the entry ticket to a life where your money finally works harder than you do. The first $100,000 is 100% manual. It is the freight train tearing itself free of the tracks. It is the headwind on the bike. But once you break through, the physics of your life change permanently, and they do not change back. Because true freedom in Canada is not a number sitting in an account. It is the morning you wake up and realize the compounding wind is finally louder than your alarm clock. Start the train, break the friction. The first 10 inches are the hardest, and everything after that only gets faster. If you learned something, like this video and hit subscribe. See you in the next one.